And I've got in this new book, I do address this area, of many other areas, but this as well. No one has been more appalled than me from a Western point of view than when I was a kid growing up learning about the British Empire. What the British Empire did was, for me, a disgrace. And what all these other empires did was a disgrace. It was to go into other people's countries in Africa and Asia or wherever, South America.
Australia.
Yeah, Australia. And impose their will upon them, take their land, take their culture, and destroy the lives that they had before. Treat them as second-class life, and impose the will of the West upon those countries. That was appalling, disgraceful. I remember learning about it at school when I was a kid, thinking, this happened?
Yeah.
Yes. So how do you respond to that? By doing the opposite? By doing it in reverse? No. What you respond to that by everyone respecting everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, when you go into a country, whether you're white, black, or sky blue, bloody pink, you don't go in there and say, this country is now going to be what I want it to be. You go in there and you respect the indigenous culture. And if you don't like it, we'll go somewhere else. And if you want to, argue that maybe it could be done differently, we'll argue it. But you don't impose your culture on other people. And doing it in reverse what is that? Why is that any different to doing it in the first place? And another thing that I see with so-called progressives, and when I talk about progressives, I'm not talking about liberals. I'm a liberal, if not a political liberal, I'm not political anything. But if you look at the definition of the word liberal, which is supporting freedom of speech, freedom of lifestyle, freedom of expression, I'm a liberal to my DNA. Progressives who are, there's a word came out of America, that's kind of left, progressive left, they are anything but liberal. Through political correctness and the imposition of censorship on what people not only increasingly can say, but what they can think, that is the opposite of liberal. So let's just disconnect the word liberal from progressive because it's not the same thing. So these progressives, and a lot of them are white people with a guilt trip, right? I say to them, I do not feel responsible for white colonialism. You know why? I wasn't there. I didn't do it. I do not have the same mentality, in fact quite the opposite, of those who did do it. And if you go on treating what happened in what we call the past and relate it constantly to the present, then the past just goes on repeating itself. It might repeat itself in reverse, but it goes on repeating itself. Mm-hmm. You know, if there are white people, and there will be, that want to impose a white supremacist state, then challenge them, argue with them, debate them, expose from your point of view the fallacy of that attitude. Yes, but don't treat every white person as having the same mentality as the tiny few. Does every Muslim have the same mentality of someone chopping someone's head off in Syria or Libya or Iraq through ISIS? No, they don't. So this is what I say in terms of groupthink and group perception. The difference between Muslims I've met in the Middle East, some of the nicest people you'd ever come across, they'd give you anything even though they have nothing. Mm-hmm. And someone chopping someone's head off in some religious tyranny, they're not the same thing. They're not the same people. We must not treat them the same. It's the Muslims, but in the same way. Everyone that thinks Adolf Hitler was a nice bloke and wants to impose a racial superior hierarchy, who happens to be white, is not the same person as every white person that exists. And it's this childlike immaturity, the inability to see the individual instead of the group, that allows this divide and rule to be done so easily and played off against everyone else. And you see it in politics, where you'll see a political party and you'll see another political party. How often in politics, same mentality, how often in politics does a member of a political party say of another political party, do you know, I disagree with most of what you said, but that policy, I absolutely agree with that. That's right. No, you don't see that. You see opposition for opposition's sake, because that's what you do. You're a group, they're a group. Whatever that group does, you must oppose. Childlike immaturity. And that is the human disease, childlike immaturity. And until enough people move out of that childlike immaturity into some form of adulthood, where they can see individual behavior instead of group behavior, then this world will go on fighting itself and going along this road we've been going along for so long.